In Lesson 46, we will be dealing with order of operations with fractions. PEMDAS will help us remember the order we should deal with the different parts of the problem. In this example, we have both subtraction and multiplication, but we need to do any multiplication and division first, so that means we need to deal with the 3/7 times the 5/2. Remember, in multiplication, we don't have to get a common denominator. We simply multiply top times top and bottom times bottom. We can cancel top to bottom or diagonally, but in this particular problem, we don't have anything that will cancel. So when we multiply 3/7 times 5/2, we get 15 over 14. Now we can deal with the rest of the problem. We're left with 9/7 minus 15/14. In order to do this part of the problem, we must get a common denominator of 14. In order to get a common denominator, we have to ask ourselves, what is the difference between the original denominator, in this case it was a 7, and the new denominator, 14? In order to change the 7 into a 14, I must multiply by 2. And whatever I do to the bottom of the fraction, I have to do the same thing to the top. So 2 times 9 is 18. In the second fraction, there is no change between the original denominator and the new denominator. So the numerator stays the same too. Now it's time to subtract. Remember, you only subtract the top numbers. The denominator stays the same. 18 minus 15 is 3 over 14. In example 2, we have addition and multiplication, but we also have mixed numbers that we need to deal with. If you think back to our last lesson, when we had mixed numbers, we had to change them into improper fractions. Remember, to change a mixed number to an improper fraction, we multiply the denominator times the whole number, and then we add the numerator. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 5. On the second one, we would do 3 times 2 plus 1, which gives me 7/3. I'm going to put the 5 over 1 so that when it comes time to multiply them, I have a fraction times a fraction. So looking at my order of operations, I have addition and I have multiplication. I know that multiplication comes before addition. So I will multiply 7/3 times 5 over 1. Now I have 35 over 3. I will add 21/5 to 35 over 3, but in order to do that, I have to get a common denominator. The common denominator for 5 and 3 is 15. So if I change my fractions so that they're both over 15, the first fraction must be multiplied by 3 on the top and the bottom. 3 times 21 gives me 63. The second fraction must be multiplied by 5. 5 times 35 is 175. Now I can put the two fractions together. 63 plus 175 gives me 238, and I keep that over the same denominator, 15. Now it's time for you to try one. This problem has addition and division in it. Remember that you cannot divide fractions, so instead of dividing, you must keep, change, flip. Pause the video, try it by yourself, and then turn it back on to see if you did it correctly. Alright, let's start by changing the division to multiplication and flipping this fraction so that it's 2/5. Don't forget, you can cancel top to bottom and diagonally. So maybe you noticed that the 2 will cancel with the 2, leaving a 1 on both the top and the bottom. And when I do my multiplication, I just get 3/5. Now it's time to take my 3/5 and add that to 3/20. but I have to get a common denominator of 20. The first fraction is going to stay the same, but the second fraction needs to be multiplied on the top and the bottom by a 4. So that becomes 12/20ths. Now I can add the tops, 3 plus 12, and I get 15 over 20. And I should always double check and see, can I reduce my fraction? In this particular case, I can. They're both divisible by 5. So the reduced fraction is 3 over 4.